Okay, this is a closer look at the inside of the Bunya cone, and you can see there that where my finger is, that's the core, but the actual nuts, the ones we harvest to eat, this one here, sit in pockets closer to the outer area of the cone, so that's a nut there, and they're very easy to pull out. One thing to be careful of with these is that the outside area, the skin of the cone, you've got these sharp spikes on them. They are very sharp, so you need some sort of hand protection, or you'll need to be very careful when you're picking these up and handling them. But usually when they hit the ground, most times, not all the time, they will split open. If they don't, I believe you can still split them open and harvest the nuts, which is a better shot of one. They sit in pockets towards the outer skin area of the cone. Now these trees have a lifespan of around about 500 years, the bunya pines, and the ones in this area, well, they predate early settlement days here around this area, and the much more mature full grown ones would possibly predate European colonisation in Australia. So they do take a long time to grow, and depending on where you look for information, one source I found today was that they can take anything up to, well, maybe 100 years before they start bearing these cones. The flowers on these trees, they produce male and female flowers, and the female flowers are produced much later. I think it's around about the 100-year mark, somewhere thereabouts. So it's not a fast growing tree, and you're going to have to wait an awful long time before you get any nuts off it. So it's not one of those trees you're going to plant today and expect fruit on it in a next 2 or 3 years. But there it is, and a very high nutritional value. I think it's carbohydrates. Well, what was it? Potassium and magnesium. Magnesium, carbohydrates, a little bit of protein in them. So they're a good source of food. And certainly, well, the Aboriginals thrived on them. And they're gluten-free. And they bear fruit roughly every 3 years. So in my area, quite a few of the Aboriginal clans, every 2 to 3 years or so, they worked out the seasonal fruiting cycles of these. They would have a big party, for want of a better word, and harvest these and eat them, and was part of their culture, part of their native food source. And not so much with Europeans these days, although it's starting to break into the catering industry, the restaurants, that sort of thing, and you're paying big bucks for it. But around this area, people have got roadside stalls, and they're actually virtually giving them away. Some of them say that on their properties, particularly where you've got livestock and stuff and that sort of thing, and they're actually a bit of a nuisance, particularly when they're falling out of trees, or you're walking through the long grass, you're tripping over these things, or they may even do damage to slashes, I don't know. But for homestead livestock breeders around here, cattle and so on, they're not very popular. Anyway, see you later. Alright folks, what I was doing here is showing, we're showing you how to remove the nuts from the pine cone. As I said before, they're in little pockets. And there she goes there. And we've got a bag of them there. It's quite leathery, that the flesh around these nuts, or around the nut pocket itself. And it's not too difficult to remove these, but if you've got quite a few of these around, it's quite time consuming. And I believe the way the Aboriginals used to preserve these nuts in, I presume they preserved them in mud, but put them in woven baskets. They did a lot of weaving baskets, carrying bags and that sort of thing. And they put them in creek water or a water hole somewhere just to keep them cool, and they actually ferment. And they say that after a period of time, how long was it? It was
about a month.
About a month. After they ferment, you open them up and they've got a taste of some sort of cheese. What?
They smell like blue cheese.
Smell like blue cheese.
And they're a
yeah.
delicacy.
Yeah, and considered a delicacy. So that's how easy it is to get the nuts out of these. Here we go. There's another one. If you want to preserve these a bit more, rather than use the old Aboriginal method, freeze them, and they keep quite a while. And there's quite a few recipes they're used in, more modern recipes they're using. You can make a flour out of them and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's all in books.
Pesto.
Yeah, pesto. It's all in books. It's on the net and that sort of thing. So very interesting. Alright, back later folks.